DialogueWORKS, Recipes for Conversations That Work. Part 5. Initiate to begin. The first phase in the DialogueWORKS process is initiation. Navigating any difficult conversation requires that you have a good beginning, what we will call initiation. The purpose of initiation is to gain the attention of the other person, share facts or data, and your interpretation of those facts. Initiation, then, is about beginning. Let's take a deeper look at this phase in the DialogueWORKS process. Although initiation sounds like some rite of passage activity one must undergo in conversation, it is not. Heaven forbid that beginning our conversations should feel so intimidating. Unfortunately, sometimes that's exactly how we feel when we have to start a difficult conversation, nervous and intimidated and not really knowing where to start. Initiation is the beginning or point of departure for all difficult conversation. We believe that what begins well ends well. An effective beginning will determine the tenor for the entire conversation and will impact your ability to achieve results. So how do we begin? We begin by engaging in what we will refer to as an attention check. An attention check engages the other person and signposts the subject of the forthcoming conversation. To perform an attention check, you clearly share your intention and ask the other person for permission to proceed or engage in the conversation. Putting it all together would sound something like this. I'd like to talk to you about the report you prepared for yesterday's meeting. Could we do that? The purpose of initiation is to gain the attention and the engagement of the other person, to share the facts, and to logically establish the interpretations arising from your observations. Doing so establishes common understanding as a point of departure in the conversation. However, the statement of intention must be general or positive. For example, if you don't begin the conversation in this way, you would create defensiveness rather than interest. For example, I'd like to talk to you about the problems you have with this report. Got a minute? Although you probably get the attention of the other person, you have initiated a conversation that is unlikely to work because the person will become defensive. Consequently, you will probably not achieve your desired results. I'm sure we've all been on the receiving end of this kind of a beginning, so you know that using such words with an accusatory tone creates defensiveness before the conversation even begins. So how do you state your intention in a way that positively engages the other person? When stating your intention, use positively charged words rather than emotionally charged words. For example, you might refer to someone as misinformed rather than stupid. It may be better to refer to a concern on a project rather than a problem. Someone who is late for work may be unaware of the impact their behavior is having, rather than labeling them uncaring or lazy. Energized might be a better way to describe someone who is overly enthusiastic or loud. And it may be less inflammatory to assume that someone misspoke rather than lied. We hope you get the point. Telling someone that they did something stupid is the same as telling them that they are stupid. Take, for example, President Obama's statement that the Cambridge, Massachusetts Police Department acted stupidly in arresting his friend, Henry Louis Gates, Jr. The media turned around and reported that the president had called the department and the arresting officer stupid. This is a great example of how poorly chosen words can intensify an already emotionally charged situation. We want to make a statement of intention that creates interest, not resistance. Think of how you would feel if someone said, "I could really use your help. Do you have a moment to listen to me?" Wouldn't such a statement focus your attention on the person and what they have to say? This is the intent of this skill, to garner a person's interest and intention. Some people might ask, well, isn't that manipulation? No. We are simply trying to start the conversation in a positive way while increasing the other person's attention and engagement. As you craft an attention check, you might consider 2 rules of thumb. 1. Consider how hard the message is to hear. If the message or topic is tough to hear, take the time to consider how to deliver the message with respect. Consider the words to use. 2nd, when in doubt, leave it out. If you wouldn't want someone to say it to you, then don't say it. After beginning with an attention check, we share facts first, interpretation second. Our observation of events become the selected data from which we create our interpretations, assumptions, judgments, or opinions. If we process information in this manner, then we should share information in the same manner to aid the thinking process of the other person. So why facts first? Data or facts are verifiable or validatable information. Sharing the data doesn't create defensiveness because the facts are objective observations. Also, sharing the data first allows others to see into the logic of your thinking. Consider this example. You haven't spoken to me for 2 days. I'm wondering if I've offended you. Making such a statement allows the other person to understand what data you were observing and why you might have assumed or inferred as you did. Your interpretations are the meaning that you assign the facts. In this instance, you are interpreting silence as giving offense. As we described in the process of perception, we frequently observe events, select a portion of the data that seems relevant, and then make interpretations of what it all means. If you want to check out your interpretations or inferences, then you share them. But you have to share them in a way that is respectful. For example, you would not say, "You agreed yesterday to attend our meeting, but you didn't attend. So I'm thinking that you really never intended to keep your commitment." This interpretation is an accusation of poor performance, or a nice way of saying, "You're a liar." Making such an accusation would certainly create defensiveness. A more respectful interpretation would be, "I'm thinking something came up that kept you from attending." Notice that this interpretation at least gives the person the benefit of the doubt. If you don't want to share your interpretation, then just move to discovery by asking a question. For example, "I noticed you didn't attend our meeting yesterday. What happened?" The choice to share your interpretations is up to you. But if you do share them, remember to share only one interpretation at a time and to seek confirmation or disconfirmation before sharing a different interpretation. The goal of initiation is to start the conversation in a way that gains attention and increases engagement. Sharing the data or facts of the situation and your interpretation of those facts helps to establish a foundation for the remainder of the conversation. The next phase of the DialogueWORKS process is discovery.